has got traded is CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum has got traded from the Portland Trailblazers to the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, the Portland Trailblazers got Didi Lozzi, they got Josh Hart, they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, they got a pick, and they got Tomas Satoransky. Now, initially I thought that this was a bad trade for the Portland Trailblazers because, they barely got anything for CJ McCollum. Their biggest asset they got for CJ McCollum is like Josh Hart. And Josh Hart, he is a good defender and he can be valuable for you. And he may make, the Portland Trailblazers defense better. But he's really not the best player Portland could have got. And as for the Pelicans, this is a great trade. Now, they get CJ McCollum. They've made a big three. And that's amazing. Because now that they have a big three, they might make the playoffs. And it's going to be a fun New Orleans Pelicans team. This is also a really good fit because Zion Williamson can drive to the lane, pass it to CJ McCollum, and he's going to get an open three-pointer. This would be amazing. And CJ McCollum can also play a little bit of point guard position. And so let's talk about some benefits for the Portland Trailblazers from this trade. So some benefits for the Portland Trailblazers are that they have a $20 million trade exception and they could potentially have $60 million in cap space. So right now their trade targets could be Jeremy Grant, Kyrie Irving, Kristaps Porzingis, and Ben Simmons. So this is pretty good for the Portland Trailblazers, and this is why they made this trade. So I don't think this trade is that bad if they're going to trade for someone in the trade deadline. But if they're not going to do that, that's a bad trade. So yeah, I think that they can do this. They have really good assets like Josh Hart, Anthony Simon, Keon Johnson, and more. They have a load of assets, and they can definitely trade for at least Jeremy Grant and Kristaps Porzingis. And another thing that they can do is get players from free agency. And so they can get Bradley Beal and James Harden. If James Harden's not traded, before free agency is there, because there's been a lot of rumors of James Harden getting traded to the Philadelphia 76ers, then they may be able to get him in free agency, and they also may be able to get Bradley Beal, but Damian Lillard has to recruit them because the Portland Trailblazers aren't a big market. The trade that happened was Sabonis getting traded to the Sacramento Kings. Now, initially, I thought this is not a good trade for the Kings because, this trade consisted of Sabonis going to the Sacramento Kings, and the Pacers got Buddy Hield, they got Tyrese Halliburton, and they got a couple of picks. And I initially thought the Sacramento Kings shouldn't have done this trade because, the Kings, they traded Tyrese Halliburton, a guy who could give you about 16 points per game and 6 assists. That is a pretty good guy. Some games he can give you 20 points per game, 7 assists. He has a lot of promise. But now that I think about it, this is a good trade for the Kings. So, the Kings, even though they did trade Tyrese Halliburton, it would take 1 to 2 years for him to develop, or even 3 to 5 years for him to become an all-star, and they would probably not make the playoffs. Now that they have Sabonis, they're probably going to make the playoffs next year, or even maybe this year they might make the playoffs. And this is a pretty good fit. Sabonis can pass the ball to open shooters. He's a great passer for his position. He's also a pretty good shooter for his position. They can run a pick and pop with De'Aaron Fox, and he can also drive to the rim and dunk the ball, pick and roll. That would be a pretty good for the Sacramento Kings. Pretty good chemistry between De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Now for the Pacers, I absolutely love this trade for the Pacers. They get Tyrese Halliburton. That is great. They really got Tyrese Halliburton. Now I think the Kings traded Tyrese Halliburton because, probably because the Pacers were probably asking for him and they couldn't have traded Davion Mitchell. So yeah, I think that's why the Kings traded Tyrese Halliburton. And I heard many people saying that why would, the Kings trade Tyrese Halliburton? Why would they need Domantas Sabonis that badly? And I think they really do need Domantas Sabonis that badly because Tyrese Halliburton is going to take like a couple of years to develop. And, Domantas Sabonis, he's already an all-star caliber player. So, this isn't the worst trade for the Sacramento Kings. And I think, people need to, think about what the Kings are trying to do, and they're trying to make the playoffs because it's been a while since the Sacramento Kings have made the NBA playoffs. So I think this trade makes sense for both sides. Now, Tyrese Halliburton will be a big loss for the Sacramento Kings, but I think it's a pretty good trade for both sides. And that is a little bit of a hot take, but, you may disagree with me, but, if you enjoyed this video, you can hit that like button, and if you enjoy my content, you can hit the subscribe button. Only if you want. If you don't want to, it's okay. And if you disagree with me but still enjoyed this video, you can still hit that like button and subscribe. Anyways, I am out.